Hi, and welcome to another episode of the still not named podcast by NOTSTEAM Productions. I'm Grimshaw.
Is it still not named, or is it as yet unnamed?
It's as of yet unnamed, as of yet to be decided, as of yet. I just like to play it fast and loose, keep people on their toes.
Right. Yeah.
I'm Grimshaw, and I'm joined by
Liam Davies, of course.
Roland Davis. Sorry.
Roland. Sorry, Roland. Yeah.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I've been watching some things and stuff. So yeah, it's been good.
Been watching things. I've been watching some things. I've been rewatching a lot of stuff. Because whilst I've got my sister here, we've been sort of like binging a few sort of classics, which there's a few that I do want to talk about. But other than that, I've been watching one TV show that I want to sort of talk about. It's not great, but it's worth it. But yeah, so let's get straight into it.
Yeah, why not?
What have you been watching?
So go on, lead with yours. Yeah, if it's you've got a hot take, then yeah, go for it.
I recently thought, because you know me, I love my horror movies, I love my horror franchises. So I thought I'd give the Exorcist TV show a bit of a try, bit of a gamble. Okay. Bit of a sort of thing, and it works in some ways. In some ways, it's quite a good story. So it tells it's from the perspective of spoiler a little bit, but the sort of main mum in the TV show is the girl from the Exorcist film 30 years later, or like
right, yeah.
And it's like her family that's sort of the center point of the show. It's a weird sort of mix of that sort of like military, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys, we'll do anything we can to get this shit done, but with Catholicism. So it's like a bit of a drive, like an advert almost to, this is why the Catholic Church is cool. Which I get those kind of vibes. There's some cool visuals in it, but one thing that I do want to point out is that, do you remember Gina Davis?
Oh, it rings a bell, yeah.
Sort of big in the 90s, 80s. She's quite a tall woman, always like sort of like redhead.
Right, yeah.
Well, she's in it, and I think I've decided she's not a very good actress.
Is that why she's not been much since like the 90s?
Oh. So I kind of got pretty much to the end of season 1, and then I've kind of lost interest because it starts getting a bit goofy, which I'm not happy with. But I have recently started going back and been watching BoJack Horseman.
Oh, right, yeah.
That show, I can't believe how good it is. Just everything about it, the way, the art style, the way that it presents itself, the way that they never actually address the fact that there's animals just walking around. It's just completely normal. And under it, like, you know, sometimes you forget it's a comedy series. Because there's some poignant sort of...
Yeah, it's quite dark as well at times, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's an absolutely brilliant episode towards the end, which looks at the sort of way that dementia impacts a person. And if I remember rightly, won so many awards for just that in itself. That episode. It's got a great cast of voices with Will Arnett from Arrested Development, Aaron Paul as basically the sort of stoner, lovable character. Alison Brie from Community, if anybody's seen that, or Pow. What's the women's wrestling? What's the women's wrestling show? Glow.
Right.
And she's also in that. So I've been rewatching that, and just quite a bit of Black Mirror as well. Like,
cool, yeah. Black Mirror is always good because you're not having to keep up with what happened on the last episode. You know, they're all standalone, so yeah, quite good.
And like there's a lot of I don't know if it's really speculation. I think it's more or less confirmed now, but they're all set in sort of an expanded universe. So they're all like interconnected.
Yeah.
Like little sort of Easter eggs hidden within different episodes that sort of bring it back to what it was what was previously on and stuff. So yeah, I've been watching a lot of that. And in terms of gaming, more Elden Ring because I just love that game. I did recently go back and replay a little bit of Crysis from Crytek, so the original people that made the Far Cry games before EA bought them out. Was it EA? Ubisoft, sorry. Yeah. Before Ubisoft bought them out. It's all right. I remember at the time when it first came out, it was a bit controversial because it was so sort of graphically superior to anything that had been before. The graphics cards hadn't even sort of been made to run it.
Yeah.
If they did, they were like really top end. Like a lot of people bought the game, couldn't play it, like myself. Well, I had the game bought for me, but it's kind of cool because it has got that old school Far Cry feel to it. But it's just wanky sort of power play fantasy. But I also picked up the John Wick puzzle game, the Hex One, and I've been having a bit of a go at that.
Yeah, that it sounds interesting. How it's sort of like turn based, and you stack up all your moves, and then he does what you tell him to do, but in one go. Is that about right?
Yeah. So the way it is, time stands still until you make a move. Once you make a move, that's when other characters will like move towards you or fire at you and stuff like that. It's got like very sort of like XCOM-y vibes. But like with the main goal being getting from A to B. Now, I said when we were discussing how we'd like to see a John Wick game, I said that I would like to see the story of the Impossible Night. Well, as far as I can tell from this game, that is this story.
Right, okay.
So you're sort of pulling off this Impossible Night.
Yeah.
It is an interesting game, and if you're a fan of John Wick and if you're a fan of sort of XCOM, it's kind of maybe a match made in heaven. I feel like it'd be better in terms of like give it a bit more gameplay. I would personally rather have more of an actual shooter and like
more
like,
hands-on.
Yeah, like do you remember the I don't know it's a bad example, but Matrix Path of Neo?
Yes.
Like that sort of thing where it was a mix of guns and combat. I would love that. But it seems pretty fun. It's got some cool visuals. Although the one thing I will say is that the way that they do it is when you get to the end of the level, you can re-watch sort of the sequence.
Right, yeah.
The animation's a bit jarring, so it doesn't look good. What
are you playing it on? Is it PlayStation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they are quite a small studio that have done it though.
To be fair, they've done it really well. Like it looks polished.
Little Games, I think. British studio as well.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like it's got like it looks polished. It looks nice. It's got a nice art style. But
is there any voice acting in it?
A little bit. Sounds a little bit like Ian McShane.
Right, okay, yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think it is him.
Yeah. Is it Keanu?
No, I don't think John Wick. I don't think Wick speaks.
Oh right, okay.
Because it's like top down, and it's like the guy from the Incontinental telling the story of Possible Night. But yeah, it's worth checking out. It's free at the moment on PlayStation Plus Premium, so it's worth checking out.
Cool.
What about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been watching quite a lot. It's like there's quite a lot of new stuff on TV for me at the moment. We're in a good spot. We've already spoken quite a lot about Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, which both I think have gotten better since we last spoke about them. But I've also been watching on Disney Plus. It's called Welcome to Wrexham.
Yeah, you mentioned that in one of the previous episodes.
Yeah, and I've watched a bit more, and it's so good. Like, it's one of those shows as well where, even though it's about, you know, two guys buying a football club, and it's all about the town that it's set in and all the fans and everything. So even if you're not interested in football, you would really enjoy the show.
Yeah. Can I just ask? Maybe it's a bit spoiler, but it's like documentary, so it's not really spoiler, and you know you can read articles about it, like the whole thing. Do any of them have ties to Wrexham? Like, is one of them like maybe like got relatives? No,
no, not at all. No, and they're quite open about that as well. They basically like what. So one of the things that drew them to it was that he'd gone through some like rough times, but the stadium. It's the oldest international sports stadium in the world.
Oh.
That's still in use. And it was sort of like a bit dilapidated. Like, one of the stands was just completely written off because they couldn't afford to, you know, the maintenance and everything. But they've come in, like, they've bought a new pitch, like laid down a new pitch, cost like £200,000-300,000 or whatever. And then they're rebuilding the stand, and they're investing in players. Like, so they're in the 5th tier of the English Football League. So from like Premier League at the top, then Championship, blah blah blah, and keeps going down. Yeah, so it's one below, like, or I think they say it's the lowest professional league.
Yeah, it's like your local professionals.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And with like the money that these guys have brought in, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, they've signed a striker from like 2 leagues up, who was the best striker in that league. Like, he scored like 30 odd goals in a season, which is really good at any level. So like, yeah, let's get him in. They've got a manager who was from like 3 leagues above, who basically specialises in promotion, which is what they're ultimately trying to do. And yeah, you can see like how it's affecting the town in a positive way as well. And
yeah, well, that's it. I mean, so Ryan Reynolds, he has got a bit of a history of being one of those kind of people that likes to invest his money.
Well, he's an entrepreneur as well. Yeah, he's got his gin business. He's got like mobile phone. Yeah, but that's how, like, helped him start it up, and he's got a mobile phone network as well.
Does he?
Which, yeah, not a lot of people know about it. Yeah, he's got serious money.
I know. There was talks at one point of him opening up his own movie production company. I don't know if that's something he's still...
He probably has already, yeah.
And I know that he was on about helping develop a video game. But again, I'm not 100% sure how much of that, because it was stuff that I read on Reddit. I'll take everything you read on Reddit with a grain of salt.
A huge handful of salt.
Bags of salt. I believe you've been watching something else, which I kind of want to get onto.
Yes, I was going to mention this next. Yeah, so my take. So it's the new Star Wars show called Andor, based on Cassian Andor from the Rogue One film. Yeah. And it's sort of his origin story, if you like. And like, it kicks off. I think it's 5 years or so before the events of Rogue One.
Yeah.
When we pick up with him, he's not in the Resistance. He's kind of he's a bit of a thief, like steals stuff and sells it on, and he like, a bit of a con artist sort of guy. And I don't want to give anything away, but there's like he does something that gets him in some trouble, and it's like I think it's the best Star Wars series they've done, because it's sort of divorced from the Star Wars stuff, if you like. So it's like it's more grounded, it's more street level, rather than it being on a galactic level. It's literally street level. Like, he commits a crime, and then that gets the local authorities involved, which are like a private security firm that are basically the police for this planet that he's on. and there's like corruption there, and there's it could easily be like a Cold War story if not for the the space travel. And yeah, it's like a really personalized story, and there's some great like character actors that have popped up in it as well. Like you might not even know who they are, but instantly you're like, oh, I quite like this character, or like, oh, I don't like them, and all for the right reasons. And yeah, and one last point as well, it's got a different feel to it because it's filmed with like traditional filming techniques, whereas the other Star Wars TV shows they've done so far, we're using that soundstage thing that they use, where it's like an entire room that's a blue screen basically, and like a stage in the middle or something, which gives it like a sort of unique look. But I prefer this, how it's more grounded, a bit dark, like it's not very vibrant or colourful, but the sort of detail helps with that. Like it's really cool.
I must admit, it is one that I am looking at watching, because in terms of Rogue One, it's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Because I personally think that it's a really good war movie.
Yeah, it is.
That's set in the Star Wars universe. It's not like there's not too much focus on the whole Jedi stuff and Skywalker and all that lot. It's not too bogged down with the, it's just, I don't know, because obviously, they are trying to bring down the Imperial, but there's something more human about Rogue One.
Yeah.
Like the way that the story's told, that I don't find in Star Wars. As much as I love the Star Wars films, I don't find that same charm that Rogue One had. That was a little bit cold, like a colder take on the sort of world that existed. But I do have a bit of a criticism of the sort of way that Star Wars is now being presented to us, in that they've kind of done the thing that annoyed me with Marvel, in that all of the sudden the floodgates have opened and we've just got so much more Star Wars content that I've kind of lost interest.
Because it's become less special, hasn't it? Because we're getting so much more of it now.
Like once upon a time, it was like a big sort of event, oh, the new Marvel film's coming out, and it's like now it's like, oh, there's a new Marvel film coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bit of fatigue, and as well, it doesn't help that
we've had
the new. Well, the series, but I think we didn't kick off this generation of Star Wars the best with the sequel trilogy. I
disagree. I actually quite like the sequel trilogy. I think they made some really bad mistakes. It sort of ruined the trilogy, but overall, I think they are fun. I think they're way better than the middle trilogy.
The prequel trilogy.
But still not quite as good as the original.
No, nowhere near.
Do you know what I mean?
Like the first one, The Force Awakens, that was a carbon copy of A New Hope.
Yeah,
Look at the plot points in it. It's like, oh, the Empire have got a big bad weapon. Oh, and it destroyed a planet or planets. It's like, oh, we need Han Solo and Chewbacca and the Millennium Falcon to go and destroy this place with a new young Jedi that grew up on a fucking sand planet. Like, what the fuck? It's just, nah.
Yeah, and then that's when, because they just extended the Skywalker story, and all right, we get it. One of the most iconic characters in movie cinema history. Movie cinema? Is there any other type of cinema?
Movie cinema.
Cinema history. But at the same time, come on,
Yeah.
I want something new. I want.
Yeah. When it comes to the Star Wars stuff, I think I'm more a fan of the sort of spin-off. Like, I love when people can just be like, right, let's tell this kind of story, but it just happens to be in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
So I'm really digging that. And I hope we get a bit more. I think it's been commissioned for 2 series, Andor. I think it's good as well because we know how it ends for him, and when it happens, it's like they can't drag it out too much.
Yeah, that is a good point.
You know, so
I think it is just going to be more of a mini series. That
I think they've said 2, yeah, which I think that's perfect. That
absolutely, like, it's one of those shows that it's got a limited lifespan, and I think that's good. I think Mandalorian's the same. I can't really see them dragging it out for.
I don't know. See, Mandalorian's the best, like, you know, the biggest seller, if you like. So, and we know he's a brand new character. We know nothing about him, so they could potentially carry on and on and on and on with him.
But then, to be fair, I do love The Mandalorian, so it's probably one of my favorite sort of sci-fi shows.
You could probably recast Pedro Pascal and just like reuse his voice from some of the other episodes, and nobody'd know.
To be fair, it wouldn't surprise me if Pedro Pascal one day just sent in like a lookalike and just put on the helmet. Nobody will know.
Doesn't even have to be a lookalike, just a sound alike.
Well, yeah, but he's got to get on set first.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like, you can't just sort of turn up. Like, I couldn't just turn up and be like, "Excuse me, I do a really good Pedro Pascal."
He could just turn up in the Mandalorian outfit.
Yeah, I don't think he gets to take it home with him.
Oh, I would.
Oh yeah, no, I would as well, or at least I'd try.
They'd have to fight me.
I was reading about a film. Oh, The Office. It wasn't a film. I was reading about The Office. Apparently, the production company that helped develop that show, they were really, really strict on people taking stuff from the set. So there's like rumors like where it's like people tried, but they were like stopped at sort of like the exit and like bags searched and stuff like that. So yeah, I was just reading about that, and one of the cast members, he put up a picture of a box that he stole from, and he said it would said something like it was one of the hardest things, one of the proudest achievements he'd ever done, like stealing something. But yeah, maybe he does. Maybe he goes out in it. It would, well, to be fair, Bryan Cranston, when he was at Comic-Con promoting Breaking Bad, he walked around with a Walter White mask on.
Right, yeah, I remember that.
And walked around, and like some people were like, "Oh, you sound just like him and stuff," and he's like, "Oh, thanks, I've been working on it for years."
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like shit like that.
Yeah, so yes, that's what I've been watching. Playing again. I've spoken about this on the podcast in the past as well, but it's just come to Game Pass, so I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. I've not played it for about 12 months. But it's Deathloop. So yeah, the Arcane one. It's come back. It was a strange one because it was initially PlayStation exclusive for 12 months, but at the time when it launched, Arcane and Bethesda were owned by Microsoft. So like Microsoft had basically paid to publish this game on the PlayStation for 12 months. Like, it was just such a like strange little thing. But yeah, it was great when I played it the first time. It's just as good now when I'm playing it on Xbox. I'd say the only difference that I've noticed really is obviously there's no haptic feedback on the Xbox compared to the PS5. So the trigger stuff, and you do sort of notice that's missing. Also as well on the PlayStation, there's the mic in the remote. Because when you're talking to Juliana on the radio, when she talked back, it'd come through the mic on the controller, and that was like a really nice little touch because it sounded like a radio, and your guy would talk through the telly, and then you'd get the reply on the remote. That was really cool. So yeah, missed that a bit, but sort of superficial.
Can I just interject and just say this to Sony personally? I do like that feature.
Yeah, I do.
Some games, but in other games, it's annoying as shit. So GTA is a perfect example because you're constantly getting rank, and that if you've got a vehicle that has like homing missiles on it, if you're playing GTA Online, your controller beeps every time it locks onto something.
Right.
And it's really annoying because flying around, it'll just lock on everything, and you're just there like.
You can turn that down.
You can, but then I always forget to turn it back up. So
then
you like playing a game, and there'll be like dialogue happening, but I'm only hearing one side of it. I'm like, what's going on? Like, who are you talking to? I don't understand what's going on. But yeah, it is a cool feature.
It's a really cool game. Like, I kind of forgot like why it was so fun. Like it's different to the other arcade games in that you definitely call this a shooter.
Yeah, and it looks a bit more fun.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, and I guess it is. Yeah, and it's more tongue in cheek than the others have been.
That's what I mean. Because
and the main protagonist is actually voiced for a change as well. Like he's very vocal and he's funny. I think it's one of the best voice performances I've ever seen in a game. Like him and Juliana, like the back and forth that they have is it's so good. So yeah, I recommend that to anyone, especially if you've got Game Pass. It's free. Just get it downloaded.
To be fair, I was looking at it. We've been into town, and I was in game because I always go in just to see what
Yeah.
I was looking at it as a potential because I think something at the moment. Like I'm getting a bit fatigued of Elden Ring.
Well, you've only got PS4 though, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not on PS4.
No, I know. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
I just want to mention as well, like the bullshit Nintendo thing. Like it strikes me every time we go. Like I went in and I thought maybe I'll have a look for a couple of games or like a game for my Switch. And I was looking at the Nintendo games, and like all the Nintendo stuff just never decreases in value, and it's so fucking annoying. Like because it's like some of those games, like I really, really want to play, but I don't want to be paying like full price for them at this. Like
they're a market in and of their own, aren't they? Nintendo. They can do what they want, and they do.
But they don't even like decrease when like a sequel comes out.
Nope.
Like some game series, like say like GTA or Red Dead, right? It'll still be expensive until the next one comes out, and then when the next one.
That's more a quality thing, isn't it? Whereas on the Nintendo side of things, it doesn't even have to be that good of a game. You know, if it's made by Nintendo, then it will keep its value.
Because the main one at the moment is Breath of the Wild 1, and then I kind of want to play Luigi's Haunted Mansion because it kind of looks fun.
Yeah.
But it's still like 37 quid, so nah.
Yeah.
Not getting it.
That's the thing. Like I think with the Switch games, I just find I tend to get them digitally now, because I get a lot of indie games, and I just wait till they're on offer.
The Nintendo Store is great for getting indie games. Like
the indie games great. That's basically what my Switch is. I have got Breath of the Wild and a couple of the others, but yeah, it's basically an indie machine.
Straight into the 5 TV shows we love to binge.
Yes, yeah. So I've got 5. It's when I was making my list, because I've not really been binging anything at the moment, because everything I'm watching at the moment is on weekly.
Yeah. So
I just thought back to times when I've binged series and just chose some of my favourites. Really.
That's kind of where I was going with it. We all have those like sort of like TV shows that we can always go back to. We always know that it's good content. Like at the moment when you're watching something current, like it can very easily start good and then trail off sort of towards the end. We've seen it happen a few times with different TV shows. Not going to name any in particular, Game of Thrones. But, or it could be one of those where it inadvertently gets cancelled after, so many seasons. We've seen that happen loads recently.
Netflix, looking at you.
Yeah. So these are like TV shows that they're our favorites. They've either ended or maybe still ongoing. But we can always go back and watch older episodes that we know what we're getting.
Well, I would sort of like I'm not big for going back and rewatching TV shows, mainly because I like to watch new things that I haven't already seen. But if I was to go back, then I would watch some of these again. Yeah.
Well, which is fair to be, I do get that principle, but ever so often I'll find a show that I like to rewatch because I like to look for like the Easter eggs and stuff that like I've missed first time round. So like I recently rewatched all of Futurama because I was like spotting all the little Easter eggs within the sort of. And it's just there's some episodes of that I could probably watch on repeat just because of how great they are.
Cool. Well, I'll kick it off then. So, first one that sprang to mind for me because I didn't watch it as it was airing. I just binged it all on Netflix. Was of course Breaking Bad.
Also on my list.
Oh, brilliant! So it's just one of the pivotal shows of our generation. It's cult hit really. It sort of took off years after it had started and finished, I guess.
It's still massive now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's just had the spin-off that's just finished now, the Better Call Saul. There was the El Camino film and Jesse's side of things as well. And it's so cool, man. Like even when you look back at the first series when they had no money and it's all a bit grainy and stuff, it's like they sort of kept that DNA all the way through. And yeah, I love that. And some of the cool camera techniques that they used. And
it's a show that just keeps on giving. It's a show that I think will age like a fine wine because of just the sort of classic filming techniques that they used. There were quite a few episodes that were filmed on actual film.
Yeah.
And there was one episode in particular where they used the same sort of camera that was used in Hateful Eight by Tarantino. I think it's 16:9 camera or something.
Yeah.
Wide scope one. The color palette, the script, the story, the acting, everything.
The characters, man. Like, there's so many. Like, I can't think of another show that has that many sort of distinctive, like, great characters. That even though I haven't watched the show in years, I can still talk about Hank Schrader and I forget what his bitch wife's called. But, excuse me.
And her name was Maria.
Maria, yeah. So you got Walter White, Jesse Pinkman, but then there's some of the baddies as well, like Tuco from the first series.
Yeah, Tuco. Gus Fring. I can't remember the name of the Nazi guy in the last season, but I also really liked him in a sort of love to hate him sort of way.
Yeah, the sort of like the sort of ginger one, the guy that, spoiler alert, it's an old show, kills the kid.
Yeah.
Jesse Plemons.
Spoiler alert, but who gives a shit? It came out years ago. Just fucking get on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jesse Plemons, like, he's really good in it. Yeah, it's just one of those shows, and that is one that I would go back to.
Todd.
Huh?
He's called Todd.
Oh, right, yeah. In fact, I saw a clip on TikTok the other day, and it was one of Jesse's pals had been picked up for selling meth or whatever. It's called Badger. Remember Badger?
Yeah. So You know, the other day, the other recording, we said about whether or not we'd like to see more of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I do have an idea for a sort of potential spin-off that they could do. So Skinny Pete and Badger, but an animated cartoon, like a sort of
I could see that.
adult comedy with them. Because for the most part, they're kind of the comic relief of the show. Although I would argue that quite a few characters have their own essence of comic relief in them. Just quick question on Breaking Bad: who was your least favorite character?
This is going to make me sound like a right sexist, but like all of the women.
Okay.
Like his wife, Walter White's wife, she was just always constantly bitching and moaning.
I thought she. I mean,
was called Skylar. Yeah, she was annoying. And Hank's wife was just an utter cow. I couldn't stand her.
He was a bit annoying. See, for me, I can pull the I'm disabled card, so it doesn't really matter. But for me, it was Walt Jr.
Yeah, like he was fine. I didn't think he was a particularly good actor. I think he sort of let the team down a little bit.
Ungrateful shit throughout. Like your dad's out there cooking crystal meth. Your mum's like burning books faster than she's burning bridges. And what are you doing? What are you bringing to the show?
Did he not buy him a Dodge, like a Dodge Charger or something?
Yeah, like the guy was a dick. I don't like him.
But probably my favourite thing about it as well is how Walter White changes and becomes more ruthless, more brutal, and sort of acknowledges that towards the end, and owns it. Like, I love his whole arc in it. It's brilliant.
Have you ever seen We'll move on to the next one because we can literally talk about Breaking Bad for days.
Yeah, we could.
What was I going to say? Have you seen the fake ending?
No.
The special ending. So obviously, Bryan Cranston played the dad in
Malcolm in the Middle.
Malcolm in the Middle. Well, so there's a bit in Breaking Bad, and it's towards, I think it's season 5, or the first half of the last season.
Yeah.
And he's in the desert, and that guy's like, "Oh, who are you?" and all this lot. And Walter White's like, "Say my name." And then he's like, Heisenberg, and he's like, "You're goddamn right." Well, anyway, it shows that bit, and then it cuts to black, and then it cuts to Hank from Malcolm in the Middle, also Bryan Cranston, waking up in bed and like being like,
"I have seen it.
I've had a horrible dream." And it's his wife from Malcolm in the Middle.
Wasn't that on SNL?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was like he was hosting it, and that was like his opening thing. Yeah, it was brilliant.
To be fair, if you don't like the way that Breaking Bad ended, you can just have that be the canonical ending if you want.
Like it was all in Hank's dreams from Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh my god!
I thought it was a good ending. I really enjoyed the ending to Breaking Bad.
There were people that criticised it a little bit.
Like, in what way? Like,
just that his death was a bit undramatic, and there was some people that wanted him to obviously survive. Feeling like it was like ended abruptly. I do agree with some people that said that they felt that there was a lot that felt like it was skipped over sort of towards the end. So like certain like plot lines were sort of like either very swiftly dealt with or like, which
I didn't get that feeling. When I think back on it, that's not the overriding feeling I get, but people be people.
I can sort of see why they might think that. From one of those perspectives where it's like, I get it, but I don't agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, fair enough. Well, yeah, so that was my first, and I guess your first. Go on, you go
yeah,
for it. What's yours?
my first is Shoko Silicon Valley. It's
Okay, cool.
a HBO show. It's absolutely, it's one of my favorite comedy shows. I've watched it several times because, again, I like my Easter eggs, and that show has a lot of Easter eggs in it. It's all about a group of programmers and like tech engineers living in a house just outside of Silicon Valley, and they develop a app that basically changes the tech industry.
Right.
It's all about them navigating that sort of circle, the tropes, the sort of the way that they represent tech giants.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I can't hardly. It's got Tom Middlestitch in, who's really tall. Like it's one of those shows where you'll probably recognize nearly 100% of the cast.
Yeah.
Never really quite place them because they'll just appear in random things, and they always play like a really good character.
Yeah.
Not a good character, but like a good character, like a sort of quirky, like I'm missing an arm kind of thing. I don't
Yes,
like.
I've never watched it, but I remember seeing adverts and recognizing a lot of the guys in it. Yeah. Yeah,
Like
not one I've ever got to. I must give it a try.
I highly recommend it. It's got some the funniest bits I think I've ever seen in a TV show, and it was written by Mike Judge, who previously wrote Beavis and Butthead, and he also wrote the film Idiocracy,
Oh
which is
yeah.
quite funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so good. It's worth a binge. Like the episodes are quite short as well, apart from the last episode, which is about 45 minutes. They're all about 20-25 minutes or so.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So
So, how many series?
I think it was five.
Right. Yeah.
5 seasons, and each season consisted of no more than 13 episodes.
Right. Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Quite a tight production, and there was sometimes there was like 2 years between it being filmed, like 2 years between a season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like they took the time with it, like
Yeah.
it rushed, but it's just so funny.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll have to give that a watch. Well, my next one, staying on the HBO show train, is Sopranos.
Oh, I love Sopranos.
Right. I remember watching that. It was probably 2 years ago now, and I can't remember how many seasons. I think it's 5 or 6, and I think I watched them in about a month, and just every night watching 2 or 3 or 4 episodes, and just it'd been one of those typical shows which I don't think they really do it that much anymore, or not to the same effect, but they'll have the episode end and you'll be like, what the fuck? And you need to watch the next one, and I wouldn't have been able to cope watching that one episode a week, on release.
Because again, like going back to like the sort of humanistic element that we were talking about in like Star Wars and stuff, like I quite like mafia films. I'm quite a big fan of like sort of The Godfather, Goodfellas, them sort of films. Some of my favorites. But Sopranos really does sort of give you a window into that kind of, because the guy that wrote it used to investigate these guys. So he based a lot of it on his experience. It's the same guy, I think, who wrote The Wire.
Right.
And he basically wrote it a lot of like his experiences of dealing with these guys. Like brilliant episode where Tony, the main guy, like invites the FBI in for a coffee because he's like expecting them, and they're there to do like a raid on his house, and he's just like, "Come in, like making a brew. Do you want one? Got some in the fridge." And it's like these weird little moments of like cat and mouse, but like almost Tom and Jerry-esque with the way that they presented it. there are some absolute brutal scenes.
There are, yeah. It doesn't shy away from reminding you that he's a violent individual, leading a violent organization. And the one that springs to mind was, I think his daughter's out like having a meal somewhere. She might be on a date with someone, and some like rival mob leader like approaches her and like makes some remarks towards her, shall we say? And she tells her dad, Tony, and he goes to his house. Or no, he goes to his. I think he's got like an Italian restaurant or something, and like beats the hell out of him, and then curb stomps him. Like gets him bite into the step, and damn.
That was another show that was criticised because of its ending.
But when I put this down on my list, that for me is one of the best endings possible. Like I fucking love that, and the fact that it pisses people off makes me love it even more.
Well, so I was once talking to somebody that was saying how it pissed them off. Like they were like, "Oh, it just ended," and I was like, "Did it though, or did it not tell you a couple of episodes before exactly what to expect?"
I don't remember, what did it say a couple of episodes before?
So I won't go too much into spoiler, but basically two characters are on a boat and they're talking about what happens at death. And they talk.
Oh yeah, no, I do remember. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's one way of looking at it.
So that's exactly what I think.
And one of my people have spoken to the writers about it and everything, and they say, well, it's up to your interpretation.
Yeah.
There is no right or wrong answer in what happened in the end. It's like it or not, that's how it ended.
Yeah.
However I think it ended. So I think it's absolutely brilliant.
I think it's brilliant as well. But it is such a good show. It's quite a deep show. It's not like one that you can sort of leisurely watch. You've kind of got to invest in it because there is quite a lot of dark themes in it. But
yeah, there's quite a lot of comedy in it as well. Like it is funny a lot of the time.
Yeah, there's the two guys that are always at the strip club. I can't remember their name. One's called Pussy. Pussy Summer, or is that another character?
I can't remember. But yeah, I remember the two you're on about. Well, they own a strip club, don't they? That's one of the main businesses.
Yeah, but there's two characters, and they're just sort of his I'd say they're like his conscience,
right?
Because you've got the one guy that's usually a bit more like, "Hey, Tony, calm down." I don't know why he's Irish.
Yeah, sounds a bit scouse. Calm down, Tony.
Calm down, Tony. But yeah, so there's like that one guy, and then there's the other guy that's like, "Oh, no, but you've got to respect tradition." So there's those two characters, and they're great comedy relief. So my next one is a show called Dead Set. It was originally released on Channel 4. It was written by Charlie Brooker. It was before he wrote Black Mirror.
Cool.
A zombie flick. It's only 5 episodes, with the first episode being roughly an hour long, sort of like setting the scene.
Yeah.
And the rest of the episodes were like 20 minutes. They did one season, and it's just 5 episodes, and it tells the story of a zombie apocalypse. Zombie apocalypse. Zombie outbreak. On the night of a Big Brother eviction.
Oh, I have seen this years ago.
So good. I kind of love it just because of the concept's brilliant.
It's really weird. Yeah.
Someone
comes out and there's no crowd there, and they're like, "Oh, that's weird." Like usually there's people and cameras and stuff.
And there's like a zombie version of Davina McCall.
Yeah, which is weird, super weird. It's like, Davina, do you fancy playing a zombie version of yourself on this fake version of Big Brother we're doing?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, why not? It's probably in a Channel 4 contract that she had to do it.
Well, the main girl in it is Ray Winston's daughter.
All right, cool.
Uh,
Does she sound like a Cockney as well?
yeah.
Yeah.
She plays intense very well.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you remember, but there's like quite a few bits where she's like talking to these like brainwashed, like fame hungry, like people that have entered the Big Brother house, and she's like trying to reason with them and explain why no, you can't go outside, and they're like, oh come on, like stop messing around, and she's like, shut up, and it's like, all right then, all right. But yeah, it's such a good show. I love zombie stuff. Um, I would argue that it's probably one of the best zombie shows that's out. Way better than Walking Dead.
Fair enough. I suppose it depends what you're after in a zombie flick, doesn't it?
Well, this is very much. It's like your classic Day of the Dead sort of
Yeah.
scenario.
Like a
Uh,
group of people trying to survive.
yeah, people trying to survive. They're sort of hunkered down in one area and all that, but it tells a story.
Mm.
It literally tells you everything that happens. There's no real mystery because, like I say, it's only one season.
Mm.
So it's a pint-sized like series that's just really worth a watch because it is definitely a main contender for zombie media.
Cool. Well, my next one then. This is one I watched recently, actually, and I binged through like 5 series of this in like a month or two. It's a Netflix one called Last Kingdom or The Last Kingdom. It's like a Viking, like medieval one set in England. It's when there were still different kingdoms. So there was like Mercia, Wessex, Northumbria, and one or two others. And it focuses on this guy, Uhtred. So he's based loosely on history. Like he was a real guy. Basically, he was like a lord's son in a castle up in Northumbria. And they were attacked by Vikings. His family were killed, and he was taken by the Vikings and enslaved.
Yeah,
Then eventually, sort of the Vikings came round on him, and they accepted him as one of their own, and he grew up a Viking.
basically Vikings.
Yeah, sort of. Well,
So am I right in saying it's Vikings, but from the perspective of the English?
it's half and half because he was born an Englishman but raised as a Dane, so he's sort of split between the two worlds. Like they say quite a lot. He's got a foot in both worlds.
All right, so he was quite young when he was kidnapped then.
Yeah, he was about 10 years old, something like that.
Right, okay, I see. I thought it was a bit older because obviously there's that guy in Vikings that's kidnapped. And
Yeah, that priest.
yeah,
Yeah.
whose
I thought
character I actually really liked. I thought he
Yeah,
was really good.
yeah, I did. Yeah, and yeah, in this one, it's good because he sort of he's he's trying to reclaim his ancestral home, his birthright. Um, but to do that, it's like, does he side with the Danes or does he side with the English, or does he chop and change? Does he play them off against each other? Like,
He goes all Machiavelli and plays him
yeah,
off.
it really does. And there's some good storylines. There's some really good like battle scenes. Um, and yeah, yeah, it's on Netflix. I'd say give it a watch. If that's your sort of thing, it's pretty good. I say the only thing that sort of puts me off is the start of every episode. He goes, there's like a voiceover from him. He's like, "I am Uhtred, son of Uhtred," and then goes on and tells the story. But every time it's just like, oh, it's not a
Yeah,
good name.
come on. Like
Yeah,
after a while, it gets a bit like.
yeah. Well, that's like skip intro. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty good. I'd recommend that. And a little tidbit on that. You say you like your Easter eggs. The guy that voices the male Ivor or Ivor, whatever he's called, in Assassin's Creed Valhalla,
Yeah.
is a character in. He plays a Viking in the show.
Oh, okay.
And he I was like, I was sort of half watching it. I think I was right. I was either writing or eating or something. I don't know. And I just heard the voice without seeing him, and I'm like, oh, is this like a Valhalla advert or something? I lift my head up. I'm like, oh no, I'm watching. I'm like, oh, it's him, and he doesn't really look like him, but it's just his voice. Like he's not putting a voice on for Ivor. That's just his voice.
He just sounds like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty good. He's playing it a great deal. I think he was in like series like 2 and 3 or something like that. But yeah, it's cool if you're on a medieval kick like I was at the time. It's worth a watch.
I've not watched that much medieval shows. I don't know why I was thinking this the other day, because like other than Game of Thrones and Vikings, I can't really say I've seen anything else. To be honest,
There's not many good ones, to be honest.
yeah, it was meant to be one that was pretty good. That came out quite a few years ago. I watched Rome.
I watched that back in the day. Yeah, that was pretty good. I think it was a BBC one.
Yeah, it was BBC in partnership with HBO.
Right, yeah.
Which was a weird partnership. But yeah, because that were good. Because didn't it have in? Oh, did it not have? No, it's not who I'm thinking of. I was thinking of somebody else. Don't matter. Moving on.
What's your next?
My next, Rick and Morty.
Oh yes, good shout.
I watched that show so many times. I've still not watched the new season, but I'm just gonna wait for a while and just binge it.
Yeah, same.
Like, and it's one of those like I've seen the odd spoiler because the memes, but the show you're not there for the sort of like you're not there for the journey. You're there for the ride. You know, you're there for the jokes, the sort of like weird shenanigans that they get in. You know, it's like you see spoilers for Rick and Morty, and you just think, how the fuck did they get there?
Yeah.
That's what you're in for. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting until it's all done, and then I'll probably just binge it because it's one that I like to put on while I'm writing. So probably watch it like a few times to sort of pay attention. That's another thing. Like, so a lot of the time, like when I'm watching stuff, I'll be doing other things in the background.
Yeah.
That's often why I don't mind rewatching it, because it's like I'm only getting certain bits. So maybe if I pay more attention, I might spot the Easter eggs first time. But
yeah, maybe. Yeah. See, I'll if I'm watching something for the first time, I'll always be paying attention. If I am going back to something, it's because I'm being bad and I'm double screening. You know, I'll be playing my Switch. Like, I just want something on in the background. But like Mandalorian on for the 5th time or something. It's not on my list, but it absolutely should be.
It's like that itch that you get when you're like, oh, you know, like I just kind of want to watch that movie.
Yeah, I get that quite a lot.
It's so good. Like, you know, it's really sort of helped pave the way for a new wave of adult comedy. Sort of like, we like, you know, there's loads of hidden gem. You know, I could have included loads of cartoon shows on this because I love cartoons. But this one holds a special place because it's one that's united quite a few people into watching adult animation that they wouldn't have normally sort of watched.
Yeah. Have you seen the trailer for the creator of Rick and Morty for their new game?
I haven't seen the trailer, but I've seen it. It looks interesting.
Yeah, so the development company is called Squanch Games.
Yeah,
of course. And it is very much Rick and Morty vibes. It's like if you don't like Rick and Morty, you will not like the game. It's very much the same sort of tone and like comedy sort of stuff. Like you get like the guns that you get have got eyes and mouths and they talk to you and stuff. And they showed a bit where like whoever's playing, he aims at a kid, like this annoying kid that's like, oh, shoot me, blah, 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 blah. You try shooting him and the gun's like, no, I'm not going to let you shoot a kid, no. And then you try again, he's like, what the hell are you doing? No. not going to let you try and shoot. And then you try again, and it lets you shoot him, like you blow the kid's head off. And he's like, "Oh my god, you just got a child!" Like, ah. And you know, like that very Rick and Morty vibe. And you get a knife that's got an Australian accent, and he's just called Stabby. And when you stab people with it, he's like, "Oh yeah, make me stab, yeah." And
Cockney, is it?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But yeah, he's like, I think if you're a fan of Rick and Morty, then yeah,
I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah.
To be fair, one of the main reasons, like, I kind of want a VR, but at the same time, I don't see myself using it enough to justify buying one.
Same.
But one of the games that I do really want to play is the VR game. They've released a VR puzzle game.
Right.
I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but basically you're in like a location and you've got to like pick up items and stuff and use said items to. It's basically like a puzzle room.
Yeah.
But it looks really funny because again, it's got the same sort of like Rick and Morty vibes, and it's in some ways a little bit like Stanley's Parable, where there's like multiple endings that you can get. So it just looks like quite a fun little Rick and Morty style game. As far as I'm aware, I can't get it to just play freehand without VR.
Right, yeah.
It's a bit annoying. And then they've got another one which is more of a sort of like action adventure where you've got to like beat people up and stuff.
All right, cool. Yeah, so my next one, sticking with the animation vibe, I binged these about a year ago. So there's The Legend of Aang and The Legend of Korra. You know, the Avatar stuff. Yeah, absolute classics. All right, yeah, they might be
different level of animation in terms of content, but
yeah, very much child friendly or family friendly, if you like. But yeah, a lot of fun. So like good characters, a good overall story and like world that they build. Really interesting. Still haven't had a good Legend of Aang game, which is so annoying. They've had a few bashes at it. I think I had one on it. It was either Game Boy Advance or DS. That was okay.
It was just like, I think I had that one as well. It was just very arcadey.
Yeah, it was like it was fine, but yeah, I think there's so much potential there for even like an open world, like a Legend of Aang game. You jump on Appa's back and fly off somewhere. Like it'd be so cool.
Right. I know we could actually make this into a sort of segment on the podcast, but I actually just want to throw this out there. An Avatar game developed by Sucker Punch, who make Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah,
but for me, I would go the Zelda team that made Breath of the Wild. If it was a dream one, I'd go for them because they'd be able to nail the sort of cartoony style to it. Still keep it family friendly, which it'd have to be.
See, I was thinking of going more sort of realistic, but
no, thank you.
No. Keeping it sort of family friendly, but making it like because I'm thinking like Ghost of Tsushima, but you basically just play as an avatar.
Yeah.
So like that, like combat style, that animation, that kind of setting.
Yeah.
And I think that would be beautiful. I think that would be a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I think
use that term loosely.
I don't want to see any live action version of it ever again after the film.
Netflix are working on a show.
Yeah, I know, and I have no hope for it. I'm going to watch it.
I have some hope for it in that it's being made into a TV show and not a movie.
Yeah.
Like
we've already had the TV show though. It's like
I know.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
but like we because they're making it into a TV show, they're not gonna try and just cram everything into one movie.
Well, that's what they did. That's what they did with the movie.
So with it being a TV show, they're actually going to probably take the time with it. And all right, it's probably not going to be a patch on the cartoon, but it might be at least like look at Cowboy Bebop.
Which was great. I really enjoyed that as well. I thought it was great, and I was so disappointed when they cancelled it. That one still hurts.
I think it may be a bit more like that.
Yeah.
Quite a
Well,
good adaptation, but it
yeah.
doesn't like it's not as good as the original.
No, but it stayed quite true to the original.
Yeah. No, it is a top show. I absolutely love that. I never finished Legend of Korra though.
That was quite good. I quite enjoyed
I did
how
watch it. What I saw, I enjoyed. I can't remember why I didn't finish it. I just sort of got about halfway through, and
I enjoyed how it was like it had a lot of the main characters from the Legend of Aang series, but it was like supporting characters because they'd gotten older and sort of passed on the baton, if you like. And yeah, that was a cool way of doing it, and yeah, and like having a completely different like avatar. You know, she was completely different in terms of temperament.
yeah.
And how she went about stuff, and she was impulsive, and
I just really like the world. Like the world that they built is quite simple, but yeah, quite beautiful. Like the whole idea of these people, like because they're effectively it's like martial arts. It's like a way of using nature to your advantage and stuff. Like each one sort of has some sort of like culture to it, and it kind of makes sense and it feels natural. Like, I mean, the names for the different sort of groups are a bit shit. Like the Fire Nation, the Water Tribe, the Air Nomads, and the thing. But
what were the Earth ones called? They're just
Earth Kingdom.
Earth Kingdom, yeah.
Was it Earth Kingdom?
Yeah, Fire Nation, Earth Kingdom. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it was just a little bit like, could you not like pull something cooler out? Like, but yeah, absolutely great.
It all works, and it's it sort of. I like it when a fantastical story or a fantastical world like that can make sense. It makes sense within itself. I really enjoy that. Yeah,
it's so good. So my last one is a show called Atlanta.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of this. I've never watched it.
It's very, very good. So it's written by Donald Glover or Childish Gambino.
Oh, yeah, you've mentioned this before, actually. Yeah, I do remember this. Yeah.
Well, I've recently just watched season 3, and I've got the box set on like digitally. I haven't got season 3 yet, actually, but I've got the first 2 seasons, and it's one of those shows where it's not particularly in any order, so each episode's kind of different.
Yeah.
But it overall tells this story of cousins who are living in Georgia, Atlanta. And one of them's a rapper. One of them's sort of trying to make himself sort of get somewhere in life. And they partner up, and it's all about them trying to sort of like navigate the sort of rap community and the sort of music business, and it's so well written. In season 3, they've kind of done a few episodes where it's like Black Mirror.
All right.
Well, the way they've done it is it's like Black Mirror, but from like it's like just looking at racism from a sort of like political, like looking at it in a way that you can digest it. There's a great episode in season 3 where it looks at a guy who finds out his family owned slaves. So he ended up getting sued, and it's like showing how, it's I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to sort of come across as knowing something that I'm not or anything like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But it's just a great show. It's worth a watch. Like, yeah, it's fantastic, and it's really funny as well. There's so it's got Lakeith. I can't remember his last name.
Oh, I know what you mean.
From my Jimmy Head.
Um, he was in Get Out as well, wasn't
Yeah, he was. He was in Get Out.
he? Yeah.
Stanfield.
Stanfield. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean.
It's got Donald Glover in. It's got ZZ Beats in from Deadpool, played Domino, and the Joker. She played the girl in the apartment.
Right. Yeah.
Great in it. She's so good. Like there's so many funny episodes with her. It's worth a watch.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Again, yeah, it's one that I've heard good things of. It's definitely been well received critically. So yeah, I'll give that a watch.
Every episode is genius. There's one. Sorry, I'll stop talking about it, but it's just there's one episode, and it's called the BTN, and it's the Black Television Network, and it's
Right.
basically like an episode where you're basically watching a channel, and you're seeing all the adverts that are like all
Right. Yeah.
black men and black women and stuff, but it's a nice like look at sort of just that sort of world of like Atlanta and stuff. Like some of the things, like because I've been to America, it does feel real, even though it's
Yeah. It's like a parody. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So my last one then. Another Netflix one. There's a lot. I've got a few from Netflix on here. It's the Mindhunter.
Oh, that's what after 2 seasons.
Yeah, which is a shame. But I absolutely binged through that. I think I watched the first series in like 2 days. Yeah, I love it. It's just like it's the first guys that work for the FBI that basically coined the phrase serial killers.
It's based on a true but not so true story.
Yeah, it's like loosely based on the truth.
Yeah, it's based on a book that was written about the guys that did it. Because I think there's a time disparity between real events and sort of TV and
Yeah, I
sort
think they moved a few things around to make it work, which is fine. Like it doesn't have to be, an exact recounting of what happened because nobody really knows. You wouldn't know that anyway. You wouldn't know the difference. So that's not really the important bit for me. The important bit was the fact that this guy was like, yeah, look, we're finding patterns in these killings, and we can use that to predict, where they'll strike next, or who they are. Like the whole profiling a serial killer that's invented by these guys, and the woman.
the sociologist.
Yeah, something like that, and. She's quite good. She was in Fringe, the lady from Fringe. Have you ever watched that?
No, it's like the X-Files one, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that was quite good. I quite enjoyed Fringe actually. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, that's really worth a watch. There's some really unsettling scenes with what's the serial killer called that they speak with?
The one that they're speaking to.
Big massive guy.
Edmund Kemper.
Yes. Oh man, he was like such a good performance. That like he's a huge guy with glasses, and he was so like matter of fact about stuff. And
so he's fascinating. Like to be fair, one day I would like to do an episode just on serial killers because I do kind of have a bit of a fascination for them.
Yeah.
Edmund Kemper was the co-ed killer.
Yes.
And he did some fucking weird shit, man. Apparently, he's a model prisoner.
Yeah. Well, he handed himself in, didn't he?
Hmm.
Because he was saying he was bored. They were never going to catch him. And that in fact, that's one of the lines from the show. They say like,
Well,
so how do you catch a person like you? He said, well, if he's good enough, you don't, unless he wants you to. That's, they understand how it all worked back then. And yeah, when these people are operating at a different level to the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not murdering people, then
head, but like the guy himself, like apparently there was a serial killer that was brought in after Edmund Kemper was in jail or in prison, and he was being really loud and obnoxious and like disturbing other prisoners. And Edmund Kemper just sort of gave him a look, and he settled down. And he's apparently that kind of prisoner. Like he understands that he deserves to be in jail. He understands where his role in society. He's now sort of happy, well, content. He's quite a fascinating person to sort of like look at. I wouldn't say idolize because I don't think you should idolize. But definitely somebody that you can sort of be fascinated by.
Yeah, they're definitely interesting because they, like I say, like a lot of them, especially the more interesting ones, arguably, they're like hyper intelligent, like like I say, they operate on a different level. That's the like the psycho side of things, where they got less empathy and all that stuff, and it just makes them see the world through a different prism. And I think that's so interesting.
It's a really good TV show, and it's got a really good soundtrack.
Yeah,
really disturbing soundtrack in some places. It was by David Fincher.
Yeah.
He helped produce it and get it sort of off the ground.
Well, he's recently said, actually, never say never to a series 3. He's could potentially come back. It just, I think he got busy with stuff. I think some of the cast were tied up with other stuff.
It was very much a case of that, and there were, at the time, I think there were a few sort of issues with like negotiating sort of terms of how much to come back to. So I don't think it was cancelled. I think it was more shelved. I have a feeling that if it does make a return, it's going to be a film.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
The way that they ended season 2, it kind of revealed who that creepy dude was that throughout season 1 and 2, the person that they're going to be investigating.
Yeah.
So I very much think that if it does come back, it's probably going to be in sort of a film, which I don't mind.
That's
I get a good story. I don't really care.
I think he usually doesn't miss the mark on stuff like that.
We've already seen him do, is it 3 serial killer films?
Yeah, he did 7.
He did Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl, which is kind of
it's similar vibe. Yeah.
Has he done any more?
Was he involved with what's it called? Is it called the Black Dahlia? It's the Black Dahlia Murders. I can't. What the film's called?
I think he was involved with Zodiac.
Zodiac, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
I don't know if he directed it, but I think he was involved as like a producer.
Yeah, I think he produced on that. Yeah, for the Zodiac Killers. Yeah.
Which also is a brilliant film.
Yeah, great.
Anyway, right.
Yeah, that's my last one. Yeah.
To be fair, I am so annoyed that like season Mindhunter got cancelled. Shelved, whatever. Because I was so into it. Because I loved the cast and the characters. I think
that was perfect.
The mains, not the main dude, the detective, the like old school guy.
Yeah.
He's just brilliant, and I just feel so much empathy for him. and the guy that plays him is just wonderful, like as that role. But yeah, hopefully we'll see something more of that in the future. I want to make I want to make two sort of honorable mentions. So
yeah, I've got one as well.
Honorable mention number one. I was gonna sort of include an anime, but at the same time, I haven't watched it for a while. But it's one that I used to always love binging, and it's called Samurai Champloo. It's from the maker of Cowboy Bebop, and it's set in like feudal Japan. Well, it's set in the Edo period. As Western sort of influence was sort of coming in for first time in quite a while.
Right.
And it sort of has like a sort of hip hop and classic samurai sort of stranger walking into a town like, oh, we need your help. Well, thank God you're here, kind of thing. But it's like hip hop music to it, and the sword fights all kind of look like breakdancing.
Right. Okay.
So cool. And same with Cowboy Bebop. Whilst there's a bit of a coherent story there, basically this girl hires the two samurai to help find her dad. Each episode's kind of like a unique tale.
Yeah.
You can sort of watch it as and when, but there is an overall structure to each episode. But it's really good. It's only 26 episodes, which I know obviously for a lot of people that puts anime, one of the things that puts them off watching anime is the fact that there could be like thousands of episodes.
Yeah.
You can't that's not a binge, that's an investment.
Yeah, exactly.
But with it's 2 seasons, it's 26 episodes, they're 20 minutes long. It's got some brilliant fight scenes, it's got some great voice acting, and it's generally just quite funny. It's quite a fun show.
Yeah, well, my honourable mention is, I have to mention this because it's probably the show that I've watched the most of in my whole life. But it's the Friends TV show, which, say what you want about it, whether you're a fan or not. I grew up watching it. I was sort of forced to watch it, and now I can have that on in the background, and that's like comfort food. I've seen every episode a million times. I know all the lines. I still kind of love all the characters and everything. Yeah, it just had to get a mention because it's.
Oh, it didn't. Yeah. Oh, I don't like Friends.
Well, that's why you're so lonely.
It's for the same reason, but I don't have fond memories of it. I remember because it was like one of the only. It was like something my mum liked watching, so it was like always on, and it'd be like reruns of like the same episodes. Well, obviously.
Well, they're still doing it now. Like it shows that its popularity. You know what I mean? It's never been off TV.
I don't knock that. I get why it's so popular. I personally prefer The Office in terms of sitcom. In terms of an American sitcom, that's probably my favorite. But yeah, I don't know. It don't gel with me.
Yeah, well, if it's not for you, it's not for you. It's fine. I had to give it a mention. But yeah, what's your other honourable mention?
Just one question: have you been to the Central Perk coffee shop in Manchester?
No. I'm not bothered about doing any of that. No.
Should we go and and we can talk about it and be like, did we like we were in Friends?
I'm not even that bothered about going. No. Not really.
Well, we once went into because it's in a Primark. It's not like outside.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
you've got to go through a Primark to get there, and then. Well, we were going to go. Oh yeah, you've got a queue to go in, so yeah, fuck that. Anyway, my other honourable mention is Ash v the Evil Dead.
Oh yeah.
It stars horror show. It's just funny. It's just Bruce Campbell, and there's not an Evil Dead film that I don't like, which is quite rare for me because for me, when you start to franchise a horror, you lose the horror.
Yeah, well, they kind of did. Like, it became a
No,
comedy, really, didn't it?
and that was a very smart move. So you have
Yeah.
the very first one, which is a horror,
Yeah.
and then you have the reboot, which is also a horror. But then you've got the other two from the original trilogy, which are both comedies, with the third one just being an absolute, yeah, this is balls to the wall. Men. And then you've got Ash v. the Evil Dead, which sort of rounds it off.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what they did perfectly about it, because each film and the TV series kind of became like a parody of the last one.
Mm.
And it was sort of rather than trying to sell you horror, it was selling you a horror comedy.
Yeah, yeah.
The horror, and the reboots are horror. I agree with that completely. But in terms of what came after, horror comedy, and I fully agree with that. And it's my favorite horror franchise. I love Evil Dead. I need to get an Evil Dead too.
Yeah, you get on that.
Well
get Bruce Campbell's face on your face.
Slightly off. When you do that, you don't want to get it exact, like right on your face. You just want to get it slightly left or slightly right, so that way it looks like you sort of two-faced, like you've got actual two faces.
No, I just want you to have Bruce Campbell's face.
Maybe if we can get to 100 regular listeners, maybe I'll do it.
That's all it'll take. Just 100 listeners, and you'll get a face tattoo.
We've got 4 at the moment. Branded substances. Yeah, so I love that show. I think I think the cast's great. Lucy Lawless is in it, which I have a lot of love for Lucy Lawless.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah, I used to love a bit of Xena when I was a kid.
Same. It was also on like Channel 5.
Did you ever watch Spartacus? She was in that.
Yeah, she was in.
A lot of it was in that, if you catch me drift.
I know more on that. But yeah.
Yeah. That's not a bingeable show, that.
That was quite a good show. But then I liked, like, I think it was the first season. It was when
the guy died.
He did, yeah.
He was going through cancer treatment when he was filming the first series, and he was in absolutely amazing shape. You're like, how'd you do that while you're battling cancer? Like, what a guy. Yeah, unbelievable. So yeah, finish that segment on a little bit of a somber note. And before we move on, I'm just going to have a quick break. Back in a moment.
Oh, it's not in the contract. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're back. So now it's the Nacebo-verse plug. The old.
Yeah, do you think?
The old and cold, dark place far away from here in a different reality. Basically,
how they start? Is that your version of Star Wars?
I was just like some sort of like Twilight Zone-y shit. Yeah. You're about to enter a door, or the scary door in Futurama. Right. Anyway, so an update on the Nacebo-verse. Basically, another reality has fallen prey to a multitude of dangers that are out there in the wide expanses of the Nacebo-verse. This time, it's a group of mercenaries trying to get home during a zombie apocalypse. It's called The Last Stand. I like my...
Is that based on the game, The Last Stand?
There's a game called The Last Stand?
Two. So one of them was a Flash game on like miniclip.com or whatever, those old Flash games.
No.
Where you sort of, you had a house and survivors, you had to get weapons.
I remember it now. No,
yeah.
It's not.
And there's also a sort of spin-off from that as well, which I've got on Xbox, which is like it's a roguelite, and you play an infected person that they're infected, so they've been kicked out with the main base, and you have to get as far as you can and send resources back and stuff like that. That's a pretty cool game.
That sounds fun.
But yeah, I just thought, zombies and The Last Stand. But yeah, go for it.
So yeah, basically it's a bit of a zombie piece. I do like my zombies. But it's tied into the Nocebo-verse, because there is a particular presence that may have caused their downfall, which is a presence that's been appearing more and more in the Nocebo-verse. Is somebody that may or may not have a potential story to tell, but who knows?
Ooh.
But yeah, check it out. There's quite a few Easter eggs. So there's a cool thing that I tried to do where all the characters are sort of like named after rappers, apart from one.
Okay.
So they all have like sort of like military sounding names, but they're all sort of at the same time being a bit like cool about it, like
right.
But yeah, it's quite cool. I enjoyed writing it. Like you said, I do try and focus a lot on my dialogue and try and sort of make it sound like a almost Quentin Tarantino sort of feel. Yeah. So yeah, worth check out.
Cool. Yeah, I will. I'll get around to that.
Read it, available on my Patreon.
Like and subscribe, guys.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, brilliant. And
complete this mission. And it's actually me and you, Liam, that is doing it this time. We're not buddies to help us.
Yeah.
We're not getting Kratos. He's put his axes away for the week. His axes. His axe.
Yeah. And he's played the old Cades of Laos.
The old Cades of Laos. It sounds better, to be honest.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I'm all for it.
If we ever started like a rock duo, that's what we could be called.
Yeah.
Cades of Laos.
Yeah, it's a good band name. It is. Yeah.
We've got to get on that. We've got the rock look as well.
We have. Yeah. Yeah. Can you play any instruments?
No.
Oh. Yeah.
I feel like I can hold a tune, but not to the point that I'm a singer.
Yeah. It's fine.
I'll just stand there with a tambourine.
We'll get auto tune on.
I'll stand there with a tambourine.
And a triangle.
I'll be Bez.
Yeah. Some maracas.
You drunk friends in the corner be like, yeah.
Love it. So we've got our mission. What are our mission parameters? What's the
Well, so we're allowed to pick 6 items, 1 set of armor.
Oh yeah.
Disguise, 2 skills, 2 abilities, 1 weapon, a getaway vehicle, and a companion.
Yes. And a little special sauce to this segment.
There is. We get to pick each other's double agent. So somebody that will be helping us at first, but is going to betray us.
Yeah.
So, where should we start?
Well, I think I'm going to start. I'm going to jump straight in with armor.
Okay, so we'll go armor.
I'm going to. It's actually a slight callback to one that we've already mentioned, but I want Boba Fett's armor. I think it's absolutely iconic. It's cool. It's got a bit of green, yellow.
Is that why you asked if it was specifically video game characters?
Yes, potentially. But there is a Boba Fett game.
I was going to say there's quite a few iterations of Boba Fett. So yeah.
So yeah, I got around that little loophole. But yeah, it's so cool. I love how in the book of Boba Fett as well. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but they show a bit more of the practicality side of it. Like so it's still the original costume, like if you notice on one of the knee pads, there's like a couple of little barrels. And there's a fight scene in Book of Boba Fett where he puts his leg up on a low wall so that his knee is facing towards the enemy, and he finds little rockets out of it.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen anyone shoot with their knee. I'm like, that's so cool.
That's one of the things.
He finds the rocket from his back. I had a question actually because I've got the armor. Do I get the jetpack?
You get whatever comes with the armor.
Right, cool. Yeah, so I got the jetpack with it and the helmet and everything. Yeah, I'm down with that. Yeah, I'm glad I got that. What about you? What are you going to be turning up in?
I kind of shot myself in the foot with this one because I didn't really think sci-fi.
Okay, more, dude. Yeah.
So I went for the ebony male from Skyrim.
Well, it's not bad armor.
It's not. But
terrible. No,
it doesn't shoot rockets. It just gives you like 100% sneak when you crouch.
Okay, yeah. So you've got some stealth aspect to it, yeah.
Yeah,
but only while you're crouched.
But
that's the rule in Skyrim.
Doesn't come with a jetpack, and come with.
Is it laser proof?
I don't know.
It's not been tested in that sort of arena, has it?
It can survive lightning bolts.
Yeah, there you go. Does it have like magic protection or anything?
Yeah. Plus, also just quickly going back onto the Anom thing, this Anom could be really, really powerful, or it could just be a simple dude. We don't know.
Yeah. And obviously, because he's going between realities, it could be technological, it could be magical, it could be physical. Yeah.
Exactly. It's player's choice. Dealer's choice, should I say?
Well, it's not really our choice. It just sort of happens.
It's the choice of the universe.
Yeah. So I think we can both agree that's 1-0 to me so far.
Yeah, you're
not very good at these lists, are you? What was it last week? As your healer, you had a cat or something?
To be fair, I beat you on the first one with the Left 4 Dead.
No, you did, to be fair. Yeah, you did. So we've got what we go for next. Well, we've got 6 items, so I'll just list, say, 3 of my items. Yeah.
I'm 3 and you list 3.
Yeah. So on the items, my first one, I've got the grappling hook, because why not? And if you want to know what game from, I would go with the one from Bionic Commando. If you ever played the reboot.
I did. I didn't get very far. I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's not great, but I really liked the swinging mechanic in that. So just sort of almost basically like lets me be Spider-Man a little bit. I'd have that.
One of my favourite grappling hooks, at the moment, is probably the one from Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes, I quite like. It's a satisfying one because he sort of jumps off the thing and then like hooks on, and that's pretty good. It's quite good in Horizon as well. Even though you don't use it a great deal, it's really fun to use.
It looks really good. To be fair, the new Horizon, I've been watching Jay play it, and it looks really good. So I'm probably going to start at some point. So sorry, I interrupted your list. Go ahead.
Then I've got some electric ballers, which are they're like balls attached with like a bit of rope or whatever.
Like what Catwoman uses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So electrified ones of them, either from the Catwoman one from Arkham, or what's her name's got them in the Avengers game, Black Widow.
Oh, okay.
Similar to that, and I don't know if I'm allowed this one, but a hidden blade from Assassin's Creed. Is that too much of a weapon, or can that be considered a tool or an item? This is the one that I was a bit like, ooh.
I'm kind of dubious about the grappling hook because I was kind of thinking items that you kind of pick up,
Yeah,
not
okay, fair enough. Yeah.
not items that you would get given. So I don't know, Liam. That's 2 strikes on that one.
Well, fair enough. But fair enough. Well, that's my first three. Then go on. What's yours?
So, I don't think I can give you the hidden blade.
Yeah, no,
You
I thought it was a risky one,
behind, mate.
but I
Sorry.
think my other items that are coming are going to make up for those
Well,
two losses anyway.
actually, to make it fair, I'll give you a choice. You either have to get rid of the grappling hook or the hidden blade. You can.
I'll tell you what. I'll get rid of the grappling hook, and the reason why I will become I've already got a jetpack, so I don't really need.
Actually, yeah, the grappling hook's a bit redundant, really.
Yeah, a little bit.
Can I have you? Actually, can I have your grappling hook?
Yeah. No, you can't. No, because then you'll have 7. No. Yeah, so I'll keep the hidden blades. Then I've got. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What items have I got? Right. So I've got. Let me get back to it. First one, recycler grenade.
Okay, nice. Yeah, from Prey. Yeah.
Feel like that would come in handy, especially if everything goes to shit. And plus, it might be a cool way to just assassinate someone. You know, you just walk into a room and just throw one in.
Turn them into a fleshy square.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. The next item is the mimic trap, which is mimic collar, from the Elden Ring game. So it's like a crown that you put on, and when you put it on, you'll take the form of a nearby item or like a bush, something, and it allows you to like sort of sneak through areas that you might be a bit nervous about. So I feel like that would just come in handy.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout.
And web trap from Spider-Man.
Wow, I might push back on that, because that's not something that you pick up.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah, when you defeat enemies.
Yeah, it regenerates your ammo. But
no, because it doesn't do it all the time. It's only certain times when you like get certain finishes and points. So I argue it's still a pickup. It's one of your classic arcade pickups.
You don't actually pick it up, though, do you?
Yeah, that's the problem. You don't see anything because it's like Spider-Man's up here, like nicking it before anybody's.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll tell you what. We'll put that in the grey area for now.
Grey area for now.
We'll see what your next 3 picks are, and we'll see. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I like you thinking. So my next 3. So first one, quite a basic standard one, but I think everyone needs one. It's just a health stim. So,
I haven't actually put that on here.
There you go. See, you got to think about these things.
But I have got something else.
Well, have you though? Have you got a neuro mod? Yeah. So that's basically skill points from Prey, which is an item. You can pick it up. You can even craft it. So it's definitely an item. And yeah, that'll basically give me a whole set of new skills.
Right, Liam. I don't want you ever saying that I'm not fair. Okay? I know that sometimes I can be a bit hard on you, but because you've got a neuro mod, I'm gonna give you an extra ability.
Oh, see, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I'll have to think about. I'll think about that when we get to abilities. I'll add it on. And my final item, by the way, I think this is a stroke of genius. By the way, the classic item from the old Pokemon games, an escape rope. Mic drop.
Smart.
Yep. So if we're in like a lair or a cave or whatever, wherever we're fighting them, like we could be, say if we're struggling, we're about to die, let's just use the escape rope and get the fuck out. Or if we complete the mission, it's like, what's our escape plan?
I can just imagine a sketch of like some kid walking through like a cave or something, and he's like with his mate, and they're like, "Oh, we should turn back. It's getting dark and stuff." It's like, "Don't worry, I've got an escape rope."
Yeah.
And then walking and walking and get deeper, and then they finally get to like where they're like, "Okay, we kind of need it now." They pull it out, and it's like, "How does it work?" And it's like, I don't know. Like how it's like
That's just rope. Yeah, they didn't grab escape rope. They just brought rope. Yeah, amateurs.
right. So my
Yeah, go
my
on.
three, skeleton lockpick
Okay, yeah,
from
that's a good shout.
Deadeye tonic
Okay, yeah, from Red Dead.
and Sam Fisher's night goggles,
Okay, yeah, sweet.
which actually, thinking about it, I don't think you pick up at any point.
I don't think you do,
So
but
no,
I'm happy for you to have that because I would consider that an item. It's not a weapon. It's not, it's
yeah.
I'm happy for you to have that.
Oh, thanks, Liam.
Yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, I think that's a good shout. I think you look cool as well
Yeah.
with your medieval armor on, and then then 3 like green dots on your head.
maybe I can like craft it into the armor.
Yeah. So like,
I look more like cyborgy.
yeah,
But yeah, no.
you
I,
look like
I
one of the
didn't really think
baddies
the armor
from.
through.
You look like one of the baddies from Destiny.
Yeah, I didn't really think the armor through.
Yeah, no, I can tell.
I just thought armor, and I just thought armor. You know what I mean? So
What should we do next?
what's your verdict on my web trap?
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I think on the pure basis that you got rid of one of mine, so I'm going to get rid of one of yours.
Right. It's just
I don't think you pick it up either. I think there's a case to be made that it's not a pickup.
All right, fine. You've
Yeah.
made nice. I'll drop it.
So yeah, you got to drop that. I'm afraid.
Well, 5 items. Right. Well, we might as well go on to abilities because I feel you get an extra one because you were smart enough to bring a neuro mod.
I did. So my first ability, because it's 2 each already, wasn't it? So I've got. So my first one was teleportation. And I had a few games in mind, but I think probably the best one would be the Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor games.
Oh.
Because you can basically you get your bow out, you aim at someone, and then you just press square or something, and then he just pops up right there and like kills the guy silently. And it's like it just does it over quite a distance as well. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Because I was thinking about like in Prey or any of the arcane games, that shift that they've got. But by comparison, it's nowhere near the same distance or anything. So yeah, teleportation. I always thought that would be pretty cool anyway, and it'd get me in and out of situations. So yeah, that's mine. What's your first one?
My first one is kind of the same, but it's Blink from Dishonored.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's one of my that's probably one of my favorite sort of like teleporting sort of mechanics.
Yeah, it is a good one.
I feel like it's because of the way it's like just trigger, hold, you look at like what symbol it is and you just go there. I mean, there's others that are probably good or maybe better, like the one from Shadow of War. I forgot about it, but yeah.
The only issue with that is you have to be aiming at an enemy. Like you can't just do it to a random spot.
Yeah.
It'll only take you to an enemy. So with Blink, you've got more control over it. So yeah, it's a good shout. Yeah.
I feel like it'd look pretty badass as well. Like some sort of weird, like monstrous, like who's that horrible guy in the armor?
Yeah.
I'm Batman, motherfucker. But yeah, that's my first ability.
Yeah, sweet. Well, my next one, because I wanted to sort of magic it up a little bit, is the ability to control electricity, like from the initial Infamous games.
Okay.
It's like the idea of how he can have like a shield, and he can shoot electricity, and he got like telekinesis, like he can pick cars up and throw them and stuff, using all from the same sort of skill tree, if you like. And plus, I just love those games, and those powers in particular were my favourite ones out of the whole series.
I'd like to see them do more and try and sort of like fix the sort of repetitive feel of them, because like some of the missions in them games, they do start to feel samey, like go beat up all these dudes.
Yeah.
So, but they are fun. They're so good.
I think if they do another one as well, I think it'd be better in terms of story, because they made leaps and bounds better with Ghost of Tsushima compared to the last that they did. Like I couldn't even tell you what the story was in the last Infamous.
The last Infamous, Deslin Rowe, he's like a Native American. His tribe gets injured due to the conduits sort of like investigate. The like a military conduit comes and like injures all his family.
No, he's like he's a prisoner.
No.
Yeah, and he crashes into like he
Oh, that's where he gets his first ability from.
Yeah. But that's not why I'm playing those games anyway. You know, it's exploring Seattle, and is it Seattle?
Yeah. I think it's one of those games that lends itself perfectly to having it be you create your own character.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, well, there's so little story that it wouldn't matter whether you created your own or not. Anyway, I do think he was quite well stylized though. The character that they made, he was quite.
Oh yeah, he looked cool and he looked iconic.
Personality and stuff. Yeah.
In Ghost,
it had more about him than the protagonist in the original games.
Yeah.
You learned very little about him. Was he called
Coulson? No, I actually think he was called Coulson.
Coulson. Oh, that's awful if he was.
I'm sure he was.
That's my second power anyway. All of his powers. Coulson.
My second power is Dark Summon, which is from quite a few games. Skyrim one. There's other games where you can like summon somebody to sort of help you out. Dark Souls and Bloodborne and all that, they have a dark summon sort of category. So I would summon somebody in to help me. And I'm arguing that's an ability.
Okay, yeah, so like who or what would you be summoning?
I'd summon in Jin from Ghost of Tsushima.
Right, okay. Yeah. It's absolutely an ability. Yeah, you can have that.
Like, I feel like at that point, I wouldn't really need to do any work. You could just be like all sneaky and stab everyone.
What if he comes up against like something sci-fi or modern day? What if he just gets shot? Can you resummon?
Yeah. As long as I've got the mana pool.
Right, yeah, okay, fair dues.
Right, which you have access to as well. Like you sort of like, you always have that like stamina bar or something.
Yeah.
That you can do it. As long as you've got the pool to do it, you can do it.
Right, fair. I was just thinking about what my third one would be from my Neuromod, and I'm thinking because it's us that are going, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I know nothing about fighting. I've got no fighting skills.
No, neither do I.
But the good thing about Neuromod is it's basically imprinting a skill onto your brain.
Yeah.
So it's like you learn a new skill in an afternoon. So I want Batman's fighting style as the ability that I get from my neuromod. I don't see why not. Basically, I've imprinted Batman's brain onto the neuromod, and then imprinted it onto my brain.
It's not really what I meant when I said ability, though.
Yeah, but this is from a neuromod. So, you know.
I'm regretting giving you neuromod now.
Yeah, I thought you would be, yeah. Well, it's either that or something like maybe hacking.
No, let you have Batman. You can be Batman.
Yep, Batman dressed as Boba Fett. Like, yeah, I'm loving this this round this week.
Fine.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. But yeah, we'll mix it up a little bit now because I had 3 obviously, so you can take the lead. Tell me what weapon you've got.
Squall's gun from Final Fantasy VIII.
Nice. Okay, yeah. See,
sword and a gun.
Oh, sword, point, gun. Yeah, very good.
Covers both bases.
Does it actually work as a gun? I've never really played it, so I don't know.
It works as a gun.
Yeah.
So you can shoot your baddies.
Right.
Although it does look quite heavy, which
yeah,
because I'm already wearing thick ass armor. I might just be a bit like, guys, just go on without me.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good one. Iconic as well. You know, lots of people know it. And I don't think it's as big as Cloud's.
No, that's like...
Yeah, was it the Buster Sword or something?
Something like that. At that point, you're just compensating.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's like nobody needs a sword that big.
His sword was like ridiculously long.
Whose?
The villain.
Oh, yeah, Sephiroth.
Sephiroth.
Yeah, it was like a katana, but it was like 15 feet long. Yeah, ridiculous.
I don't know what it is about Japan and the big swords, but
well,
a lot of different media. There's a character in Bleach, and like I'm not joking. He like uses like his final power, and his sword's like the size of a skyscraper.
Yeah,
and that is not. Like, why? Why?
Yeah. That's why I don't watch anime. Yeah, stuff like that lines me up.
It's like, you definitely want a motherfucker dead if you've got a sword that big. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, fair dues. I think, like, it's versatile, the weapon you've gone for, which is good. Mine's got a bit of versatility, actually. So mine's a weapon from Deathloop called I wrote it down, it's the Strelak Verso, which basically is so cool. So it's twin pistols that fix together and make a submachine gun. And you can switch between the two. So you have guns akimbo, or you put them together, and I think it's burst fire. And yeah, it's just really cool. And they've got like sort of like a rose gold or like a rose chrome finish to them, so they're nice and shiny and cool.
I really like that in game. Like, one of my favorite features of Bloodborne is the trick weapons that you've got. So like you'll have an axe that like you can extend into like a halberd, or you can like have like there's the whip cane, so you can either have it as like an actual cane, or you break it up and it's a whip.
Yeah.
It's such a good. It's like Bloodborne. I know it's rock hard, and I know that's one of the main things that puts people off. But in terms of like sort of combat, it's almost perfect, because you switch from like different weapon styles, and you'll do different styles of attack, and like depending on how you build your character up, like, you know, there's some weapons that the higher your dexterity, the more damage it does, whereas the ones where the higher your strength, the more damage it will do.
Yeah,
it's really cool, like how you sort of like play around with the fighting style. So I really like stuff like that in games where you can say have one weapon that acts as two.
Yeah, that's always cool. So yeah, I think we've both got good choices on weapons. Good one. What's your vehicle? What's your escape vehicle?
The Deluxo from GTA Online.
Which one's that?
The flying car.
Nice.
It's speedy. It's so fast on the road. It's quite hearty, so it can take a beating when you've got it modded. So specifically, I would have my Deluxo that I've got.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Which is modded to have rockets and machine guns on. So at that point, I have a pretty banging vehicle. But one other thing that it has is the ability to fly.
Yeah, always handy in a getaway.
And whilst the flying's a bit slow, it's one of those that it's rare you ever sort of get bothered because you can just go higher than helicopters. And so it's like one of the perfect getaway vehicles, really. And my Deluxo is currently matte red with white finish, and it just looks like a sexy car. Even though I'm not really into cars, I'm quite proud of my video game cars.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
that leads me nicely onto mine because mine's the Magnum Opus, or again specifically my Magnum Opus from the Mad Max game.
I've not played that, you know.
Oh, it's so good. I've got it on PS4 if you want to borrow it. Somewhere, I think. Yeah, that's awesome. It's like you can choose different, because basically at the start of that game, your car is totaled and you have to build it up again from scratch with your good friend Chumbucket, the mutant that helps you out. And he actually like sits on the back of it and helps you in combat when you're driving around. So he's got you've got torpedoes, you've got a harpoon that's really cool. So it's like you'll harpoon the car in front of you, you'll boost and pull yourself in, so you get like an extra boost, and then smash them from behind, and it absolutely destroys them and sends them flying. That's really fun.
I've heard it's quite a fun game.
It's surprisingly good. Yeah, I got it with my PS4 at launch, and it was one of those deals where you get like 2 or 3 games from a certain selection. And I had Assassin's Creed, I think Black Flag, something else, and then it was either that or a Sonic game. I was like, well, Sonic sucks ass, so I get that. And I've always been a fan of Mad Max as well, I thought, and I've not heard anything about the game. I thought, let's do it, let's play it. And I didn't get around to playing it for a couple of months, and then when I did, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, even though it's set in the Mad Max world where it's, it's very deserty, there's still different areas that feel distinct.
Yeah.
Like you've got like a bit of almost like it's like a trash yard, like a dump, and there's like big piles of garbage at the side, and you sort of, the road's been carved through like a huge, tip, or just whatever you want to call it. And then there's other bits where it is literally just flat as a pancake, almost like salt flats.
Yeah.
And there's so much to like about that game, like the weather system in it. Like there's a storm system where you'll get hit by a sandstorm, and there's like lightning bolts that you can get hit by. There's like big containers like being blown around in the wind that you can hook with your harpoon and basically drag them out of the storm, and then you'll get like extra loot from them or whatever.
Oh, okay. It does look quite fun. Like I say,
I definitely recommend it.
I'm not the biggest fan of the Mad Max series. Like, I've only ever seen Mad Max Fury Road, and
but you need to watch the early ones with Mel Gibson.
I'm not the biggest fan of Mel Gibson.
Oh, he's so good. This is before he was Mel Gibson, though.
No, it was back when he was normal.
Yeah. This is what made his name. These were his first films because they were made and shot in Australia, and they're set in Australia. But like after there's been some weird apocalypse.
Yeah.
Nobody seems to ever address.
Fallout's loosely based on Mad Max.
Yeah. It's one of the inspirations to it. Yeah.
So that's your getaway vehicle, the Magnum Opus.
Magnum Opus. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's got like flamethrowers on and stuff as well. And,
Yeah, well,
badass. You can get you can choose to put spikes on them as well, so that when you like doing your vehicle combat, sometimes you'll have enemies jump from their car onto yours. But if you got the spikes up, they'll just impale themselves, and you'll be driving around with like this body just sort of like jiggling about, stuck in your spikes. So that's always fun.
I feel like, is that a good getaway vehicle though? Not that I'm saying you can't have it. I'm just saying like a getaway.
I think, well, it's fast. It's armored. It's got weapons. It's got sort of defensive weapons as well. So if you're being chased by something,
can I just throw a scenario at you though?
Go on.
Right. So you've managed to get away from the motherfuckers that are chasing after you, like the police or whatever, the security detail. And you're driving along, and then suddenly somebody a bit further down gets a phone call. It's like, oh, be on the lookout for a car with spikes on it.
Yeah, true.
Like,
yours flies.
You what?
Yours flies. Like,
yeah,
look out for the flying car.
Find me, are they? Unless they've got access to a helicopter, which I very much doubt.
Why?
What? All right. Well, maybe they do, but I can go. And I have rockets on mine, so I can shoot them out the sky.
I've got rockets on mine.
Yeah, but I can fly. Mine's better.
I've got a backpack.
Well,
I've got a jetpack, rather. I've got a backpack. I can carry me things.
That does actually make sense because I'm wearing armor, so I don't have a lot of pockets.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
yeah, where are your items? Yeah.
Recycling grenades and things.
Yeah. To be fair, it would be better if my magnum opus could fly. But you know, as getaway cars go, it's fast, it's strong, and it's got weapons. Yeah, I think I'm all right with that now. So the next section, I had a little question on this. So it's a companion. Now, does our companion have to be a companion in a video game?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Right. You go for it then. Who's your
mine? Because we're talking different realities, mine is Elizabeth Comstock or Anna DeWitt from BioShock Infinite.
Okay. Is she? I don't know the game well enough. Like, is she a companion?
Yeah, she's a companion. So in BioShock Infinite, she's the companion that follows you around, and she can like tear into realities. So like where there was like, say in one reality there might be like a gun turret sort of in the spot that you're in.
Yeah.
Like bring it into this world. So
right.
Like,
yeah, no, I do remember that. Yeah.
It'll help you out with like combat. So that's one of the things that I would use. Like, she's one of the main reasons why I would have her sort of as a companion.
Yeah.
Also, she's really helpful. She was quite a good AI. So, like, depending on what difficulty setting you're playing it on, bearing in mind I completed it on every setting.
Yeah.
When I had my Xbox, depending on what difficulty setting on you have it on, she'll like provide you with items. So like you'll be in a shootout and she'll like throw like a health pack at you, or she'll, as you're walking around, she might throw some money at you, or I found this kind of thing. And it was kind of useful. It was sort of around the same time that Last of Us came out.
Right.
Like it was the sort of like new age of companions where they didn't get in the way.
Yeah. That was so annoying on like the old Skyrim and stuff, man. Ugh. But yeah, I think that's a good shout. Now, I was struggling to think of a good companion that I'd had in a game. And I think you make a good point. Like the Last of Us ones are pretty good, but I think I've mentioned those in past podcasts and used them for something else. So, do you remember the Dead to Rights games?
Yeah, with the dog.
Yeah, with the dog. So that's when I love dogs anyway. I just love the idea of. Yeah.
They were actually quite good, them games.
Yeah, they were. So like they weren't like big and shiny, but they were really tight in terms of mechanics, like lots of slow motion, like bullet time, diving and shooting and stuff.
Within that developed by Rocksteady?
I don't know. I'd have to check. Yeah, possibly. Let's have a look. Dead to Rights video game series. Yeah, that's the one. Who made it? Publishers, developers, Volatile Games.
Wait. That not Saints Row?
Volatile Games. What other games have they done?
Great podcasting, by the way.
Yeah, no, yeah, this is brilliant podcasting. Yeah, no, it doesn't really say. I've got a nice picture of their thumbnail though, which is like a skull and crossbones with a V on the skull. But yeah, I'm having whatever the dog's called from that. Because he's badass. He like bites people's necks and then brings you a weapon and brings you ammo and stuff. And who doesn't love dogs?
Exactly, and he is just a cute boy. He's just
he's proper like German Shepherd.
They were quite fun. They were quite gory as well. I remember.
Yeah, and I seem to remember you could throw like fire extinguishers and then shoot them in the air, and they'd explode. You could use that as like a makeshift grenade. That was quite fun.
So last one is we choose each other's double.
Oh no, you missed disguise.
Oh, the disguise!
Yes.
Right. Well, my disguise is the perfect disguise.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic. Honestly, if you are wearing this, nobody's ever going to think you're guilty of anything. Right?
Okay.
It's the flamingo mascot suit from Hitman.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, fair enough. Or you could just look like an insane flamingo person trying to kill this one. yeah. So that's it. So that disguise is going over your armor.
Yeah, well, he's gonna have to because I ain't gonna be able to take my armor off.
Yeah, and you'll still have the 3 green dots on your head. Dressed as a pink flamingo.
Do you know what I said about your car being quite noticeable?
Yeah. We were in pursuit of the suspect. What's he wearing? You're not going to believe this. He's got armor on, like medieval armor, and then over the top of that, he's got Sam Fisher's green dots on his head. I'm like, oh, is that it? No, not quite. No, he's also, for some reason, got a pink pink flamingo suit on. Wow, brilliant.
Oh yeah, just send him. He's not going very fast. Yeah, I think that armor's heavy.
You see, mine, I've gone for the absolute classic. I think it's been in all of the Metal Gear Solid games, but just the cardboard box. I love that. And you know what I mean? It's like people come around, you just need to break line of sight, and then you hop into your box, and you look through the little flap to the little handle hole, wait for them to go past, and then you scot free. Don't even need my getaway car. Just sit in a box for 10 minutes.
For AI to just lose interest.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, well, that brings us on to picking each other's double agents.
Yeah.
So
how did you go about this? Like your decision making for the double agent?
I tried to pick somebody that I don't think you would be able to kill or betray. And like you would actually be heartbroken if they betrayed you.
Okay, yeah. No, I like that. See, mine, I just sort of thought of like once I give the signal for them to turn or whatever, however that works, like they'll just cause loads of damage, they'll just really throw shit into the fan, big time for you. So yeah, go on, you go first. Who you chosen for me?
Ellie from Last of Us.
Oh, that's kind of heartbreaking, man. That is as well, because I'd be buzzing to have her on my team. I'm like, yeah, Ellie's here. Like she's good she's good in a pinch. She always keeps her head,
And you can have a little guitar jamming session.
Oh, and then she betrays me.
And then she betrays you, dude.
What the fuck? You know what? The good thing is, she's just a person, and I've got Boba Fett's armor on. I can teleport, and I can shock her with electricity. So I'd be able to kill her.
Could you bring yourself to
Basically, that's it. Could I bring myself to? I don't know. I don't know if I could. I might just set my dog on her.
Dog's just like, I don't give a shit. I don't know who you are.
Yeah, so I might just do that and look away. Let the dog have a dinner or something. Yeah, no, I think it's an inspired choice. I've gone for classic. I've gone for Xenomorph. I'm thinking like you'll turn up and this like Xenomorph alien will turn up and you'll be like, oh, what are you doing here? They'll be like, well, they don't speak, but he'll just sort of gesture and you'll be like, oh, you're here to help? Oh, okay. How's that going to work? And it's sort of going to be at the back of your mind the whole way through. You're like, the fucking alien, and he's just following around.
I'm just having a nap, and his like tail like comes up, and it's like sort of about to like gouge me in the face, and I'm just like, no. And he's like, sulks off in the corner. It'd be like having a pet.
Yeah, sort of. It's almost like having a cat.
Yeah.
But like one that can rip you limb from limb.
Unlike yours, I would have no issue shooting it or stabbing it.
It's true, but they're notoriously tough and strong and
they are killable. Like they're
they're killable. Yeah,
and as long as
I'd say harder to kill physically than a human.
Maybe. I don't know. I've never had the pleasure of killing a xenomorph, but thanks for that, dude. I do like the Alien films, so yeah, that's pretty cool. And I often wondered, maybe they are capable of love.
Possibly, yeah.
Maybe. Even
not this one. This one's definitely going to turn.
No, maybe. Even though he's a double agent, he'll kind of feel bad about it. And he'll be like, "Oh, I wish I didn't betray that guy."
Maybe, although we would never know.
Although I don't think the system would approve of another hive mind species. So I feel like they would probably be like, "No, not having it."
Yeah, essentially.
And they'd probably just execute it before I could do it.
If they wouldn't let me have that alien, I'd choose a different alien and go for Predator.
No, yeah, it'd be fucked.
Yeah. Because, in fact, that was probably the better choice anyway, because you'd be buzzing to have Predator on your team.
Yeah, you'd be fucking sick as a companion.
And then the second that he's had the order to betray you, he'll just cut your head off. Or, in fact, he doesn't even cut heads off. He rips them out with the spine intact. Yeah. And then I'd get him to send me a selfie of, like, himself with your head and the spine. Like, hey, mission accomplished.
Mortal Kombat, man.
Yeah. Finish him.
I'm just there being like, fuck you, Liam. So, next, Liam, let's get nerdy. Let's just talk a little bit about some things that we're excited for as people, as humans that enjoy geeky media.
Yeah, man. Well, the one that initially sprang to mind for me on this, which I was a little bit surprised by, because at first I was a bit meh with all the announcements they did, but Ubisoft recently announced a whole slew of new Assassin's Creed games that are coming out.
Yeah.
And we all know my thoughts on the current state of Assassin's Creed, and that I hate all the mythology stuff and don't like the combat system, and it's too big. Well, the new one, I think it's the next one that's coming out, is Assassin's Creed Mirage. Which they're saying it's going to go back to the roots. So it's set in Baghdad. So it's got a similar sort of vibe to the first game, sort of Middle Eastern setting. It's sounding like it's going to be more condensed. Like they said, it's not going to be a 100-hour thing. like the recent ones have been. They're bringing parkour from Unity back, which is good news for me. I quite like the parkour in particular in Unity.
Parkour in the old games.
Yeah, and it's going to be a more dense setting as well. Like it's just in one city, whereas obviously the recent ones, there's lots of fields and rivers and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the newer Assassin's Creed games only because of the sort of open world aspect of being able to play a game in ancient Egypt times, being able to play an open world game in ancient Greek times.
Yeah,
those aspects, like, they're still not nowhere near as good as, like, say, Witcher or anything like that.
Yeah,
but they scrap that, like, they get that itch.
Yeah.
I want to play like an open world RPG, Assassin's Creed, the latest three. I feel kind of do that for me.
Yeah. See, the reason they don't for me is the sort of they're not quite an action game or an RPG. They're sort of a weird middle ground.
Yeah.
I would never consider it an RPG. I'd say it's an action game with RPG elements.
Yeah. No, I agree with that sentiment.
And I know there is still stealth in it, but it's not like a major part of the game anymore.
No, the stealth very much is more for just sort of getting away quickly and being able to like sort of and things like that.
Stuff, yeah, which is fine. Like I get it. I wouldn't want to be a stealthy Viking anyway. Those two words should never be together, should they?
No.
But yeah, I think just because I had such love for the original that I'm glad it's not just an Assassin's Creed 1 remake, which I was kind of expecting them to announce. But yeah, it's new character, new story, and yeah, from what I've heard so far, it's getting me.
The one thing that I'll always say about Assassin's Creed is you know what you're getting. They play relatively well, like they're one of those games that whilst I don't quite get it myself, I do understand the appeal. So yeah, they've also announced one set in Japan or
Yes, that they've announced that. They haven't announced the title yet. It's codename Red at the moment. But yeah, the one shot that they've shown of it is like a cinematic of a ninja. So yeah, that one does seem interesting, but it's going to be years off yet. And as well, people are obviously going to make the comparison with Ghost of Tsushima. Whereas with Red, because it looks like there's a city in the background, whereas there weren't really any cities in.
Yeah, so that was
more rural.
One of the things that I didn't particularly like about Ghost of Tsushima, but one of the things that I felt it lacked was a real sense of exploration.
Oh, I got the sense of exploration from it, like following the foxes and all that stuff.
That was like
following the wind.
That was like local exploration. So that was like particular to certain areas, if you know what I mean. Like you'd be walking along and then you'd see something. It's like, oh, let me follow this path.
Yeah.
But there was no real sense of like cities. There was no real sense of communities. Like I kind of felt like it lacked a bit more open storytelling, interact with the locals a bit more, and like
it was all very much like this person has a quest, speak to this person. Go and do the quest, come back and speak to the person again.
Yeah, as much as I loved it, it was a very cinematic game.
Yeah.
Which
I think if Assassin's Creed goes the other way with Red and has it set in, say, Tokyo or Kyoto or something like that, I think that's a more interesting way to go, or a different way to go that would stop that comparison with Ghost.
I do think though with Ghost, because they are planning on a sequel. I don't think it's going to be a direct sequel. I think it's going to be more of a sort of legacy sequel.
Yeah.
But
I think it's going to be another island, isn't it?
Something like that. I think it's going to tell a different story.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like they've hinted at it being more feudalism, so like neighboring kingdoms at war with each other. But hopefully, when they do that, there'll be a few more cities and stuff to explore, and they'll provide a bit more than there was in the first game. For me, one of the things I'm most excited for is Lies of P. I've seen more and more about it. It's a sort of Dark Souls-esque game.
Is it the one about Pinocchio?
It is. I've talked about it.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
It just looks so good though, and I was thinking about it, like, because they're obviously leaning into a sort of horror element of this game.
Yeah.
It's quite a creepy story. It's Pinocchio. It's about a guy that's lonely and makes himself a son, who's a puppet, and there's the sort of metaphor there for enslavement and things like that. So, yeah, it's a bit creepy in a sort of.
I've seen some of the artwork. It does look creepy.
Yeah, but it also looks like it's got that real gothic feel that I love. So I'm really excited for that. But like one of the cool mechanics that I've seen so far is that your weapons, that like in Sekiro, you pull your like arm off and like you'll like put a new one in.
Yeah.
And then you've got like a sword, or then you'll do it again and you've got like a chainsaw. It just looks really good. And sort of the story behind it that we know is that Pinocchio is there to try and kill Giuseppe, because in the sort of trailer it says about how kill your creator. It just looks so good. But I am a bit dubious about it because I've played a few sort of like Dark Souls style games. Few match it. Few even get close.
Yeah.
So I played one recently. The Lost Remnants. The one where when you die, you turn into a ghost and then you've got to like invade somebody's body.
Oh, I don't know.
I think we both played it around the same time.
It doesn't ring any bells to me.
All right, don't matter. Well, anyway, it was shit. I don't like it. So yeah, I am kind of dubious about it because I'm a little bit like, is it gonna be sort of a hit or is it gonna be a miss? So far, hit, but we'll see.
Cool. Yeah, we'll see. Like when I was looking through like some of the upcoming stuff for the segment, I feel like there's not a lot that's really getting me excited.
Well, the only other one that I'm really excited for, I'm kind of excited for Hogwarts Legacy.
That was sort of middling.
Yeah,
on my list, really, yeah.
God of War, but like it's God of War, so I kind of know.
People are the same, innit? Yeah.
I'm gonna love it no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Only one really for me is probably the new Spider-Man, but not because of it being a new Spider-Man game, but it's because it's Insomniac doing a Venom.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see what their sort of Venom plays like.
Well, we don't know we get to play as Venom yet.
I know they have.
Have they confirmed that?
I'm sure they have. I'm sure they've said that Venom will also be a playable character.
Cool. Well, they've definitely hinted that you can play as both Peter and Miles.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm sure that one of the first announcements they said that you can play as Venom.
Right.
Or maybe it's the black suit Spider-Man. Maybe.
Yeah, you've got to have that. You've got to have the symbiote suit Spider-Man. Yeah.
I'm pretty certain that Venom is going to be a playable character. If so, I'm going to absolutely love that game. If he's just sort of the enemy that you fight, then I'm going to be a bit disappointed. But
there is. I did have one special mention. So it's a little indie game, and it's like superheroes meets XCOM. It's called Capes.
No Capes.
Yep, and yeah, it looks pretty cool. Like it's only a small team that are making it, but it kind of looks like a better version of the Marvel one that's coming out, Marvel Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a better version of that. Like, it's weird, even though it's a lot cheaper. You're like, oh, this is strange. And the Marvel one is being made by the same team that made XCOM. So I'm like, strange. It's like the thing that, like, 'cause I should be excited for like Marvel Midnight Suns. It's Marvel and it's XCOM. It looks really good, but
I'm having a quick look at it now because there was. I don't know if you ever remember. There was an X-Men. I think it was like X-Men Legends or something game that was really fun.
yeah, like, that was almost top down, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
yeah, that was good. Yeah, you could like choose your team and you leveled up and stuff. Almost
Oh,
like the Ultimate Alliance games, but just
yeah.
X-Men.
Also, EA are working on an Iron Man game.
Yeah, they just announced that.
Uh,
Single player.
Single player one. Now I have a feeling that it could go one or two ways. That the fact that they're doing it single player, I think they're probably going to do it
Good
justice.
news. That's good news. That.
Because like multiplayer works for certain games, but forget certain games, it's just leave it alone. Just
Yeah.
don't
I think
try.
it's the way to do it with superhero games. Keep it single player, and you
Uh,
get
so
better
that
story and better combat and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so that could be pretty cool. It's one of those though, like you were saying that we're in a bit of a dry spell. Like we've got a few big releases this year, but a lot of it's either sequels or
Remakes and remasters and
remasters. So there's no really that's sort of fresh or new. But next year we're looking at seeing quite a lot of stuff. So it often like we'll go a year where there's not really that much, and then other years we'll have probably like loads come out that we'll be like, oh, I really want to play that.
yeah.
But yeah, so any others that you want to mention?
Not really. Well, there was the Gotham Knights, which is out fairly soon, but I feel like the more of that I see, the less interested I am.
That's an online multiplayer in it.
Yeah, you can play it single player.
Oh, it's like a co-op sort of.
Yeah, like a two-player thing. If you wanted to, you can drop in and out of each other's games. And I
Like,
like the idea that you get to choose which character you are, and yeah, it's like watching the combat and stuff. I don't think it's going to be for me. I don't know.
Yeah,
So it looks a bit looter shootery, but without the shooting.
yeah. I don't really like. I'm kind of excited for the Suicide Squad one.
Yeah, I'm more excited for that one. Yeah,
But for the most part, I'm a bit like, nah, it's all right.
yeah. Which is a shame because we haven't had a Batman game since Arkham Knight, and that was like what 7 years ago.
Mm,
It's like a barren market. Like we've had like Lego Batman games, but they don't count.
4 years ago.
Was it? No. No.
I think it
Arkham.
was 15. 5 years ago.
Let's have a look because I'm getting this one up. I thought it was like 2013, to be honest.
No, I feel like it was later than that.
2015. Yeah, 23rd June 2015. So that's 7 years. Yeah.
Oh wow. So yeah. Oh, you were bang on the mark then.
Yeah.
Fair dues. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like what they're doing with some of like the superhero stuff, but I just get worried about them doing the same thing that they did with the cinematic universe, where it's just like there becomes very quickly too much, and we're just like
There are some like rumors that there's going to be sort of a game shared universe because you got like the Guardians of the Galaxy game, you got the Spider-Man games, you got the Avengers game, which they mention actually in the Spider-Man game. Someone asks like, "Oh, why don't you get the Avengers help or something?" And he's like, "Oh, they're over on the West Coast." And then when you play Avengers, they're on the West Coast launching their West Coast branch or whatever. So it's like, oh, so could they be linked? And obviously, Insomniac are making a Wolverine game as well. So it's like, is that going to be linked? Like,
well, there's there's a comic book storyline where Spider-Man and Wolverine team up, and I'm sure it's to fight Venom.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the Wolverine has fought Venom in the comics.
So, well, there's Venom Wolverine.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, should we get on to the closing hypothetical?
Yeah, let's do it.
I kind of feel like I've already asked you this at some point, but we'll
see.
I'll throw some money in there as well on this one.
Okay.
For 50 grand, would you spend a year living on Talos 1, 50% survival rate,
Right.
or for 500,000, 1 year in the Dying Light universe with 40% survival rate?
I think for me personally, it's quite an easy choice. Like even if there was no money involved, I would go for the Dying Light universe. Reason being, I always fancied my chances in a post-apocalyptic situation.
I think I would probably go the same. Like I've seen enough zombie stuff that
exactly, yeah.
I could survive a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. Whereas on Talos 1, presumably there's going to be a load of mimics.
Yeah,
variations thereof.
You may just be a Janet. A Janet?
Yeah, Janet.
You may just be a Janet. You may be just a janitor, so you might not even be like scientific.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'd take my chances with the zombies, and some nice free running stuff as well. Get in shape, you know.
Yeah, you can stick battery on a crowbar and electrocute people because that's
that's how the world works. Yeah,
that's how the world works.
Yeah, like even if you took the money out of it, I think I'd have a better chance of survival in the Dying Light world.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, again, it wasn't really much of a hypothetical because we both agreed.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's fine. Like sometimes they sort of bend the mind. Sometimes they make sense.
Sometimes we just go, yeah, that's probably the smart choice.
Yeah, probably. Maybe we're too logical.
Maybe we should start just like, do you know in South Park where they get the manatee to write the Family Guy episodes?
No, I've not seen that one.
There was a brilliant episode of South Park where basically they're trying to cancel Family Guy because it's got too vulgar, and so they go to Fox Studios and they go to the writing room and it's just a manatee in a giant tank pulling out bowls from the bottom of the tank, and like whatever it picks up, that's what they make jokes about. We need that. That can be our hypothetical generator.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I love it, man.
But, so, any final words?
No, I think that's fine. I think it's been a good episode. Long one, I think.
I think it is a long one. Also, we never discussed. I think you win the Agent 420.
Yeah, we didn't really sum up, did we? But yeah, I think I'll agree with you on that. I think mainly because of the armor.
The armor, box beats flamingo suit, I think.
True. Yeah. Yours is a bit of a giveaway. You did win the vehicle. You won that.
To be fair, as long as I can get in my vehicle, I'd be golden.
Yeah. Oh, and the double agent. I'd say you won that one as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sort of.
Yours is sort of
like you win that one on a psychological level, but I win it in reality. The alien would just rip your head off.
Like you say, your character, you can shoot.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Mine's a bit sturdier. But yeah, that's been another episode of the as of yet unnamed podcast by NOTSTEAM. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Much love.
See you later.
Bye.